Welcome to St. Mary's Gaels Baseball Week in Review and Preview from the week of March 23rd through the 25th, 2023. The St. Mary's Gaels had a great, awesome weekend over the weekend. In the recap, they ended up winning 2 out of 3 to win their first series of 2023. They won the doubleheader they ended up winning on Friday 11-8, and then they ended up winning 6-4 in game 2. They ended up coming from behind. At one point, they were down 4-1. They scored 5 unanswered runs to win the second game of that series. Unfortunately, they lose the second game of that doubleheader, a split. They had committed 4 errors, and all 4 of those runs, at least 3 of the 4, were unearned. And then it was Dalton Mayshore dropped that routine fly ball that should have ended the last half of the 9th inning that played it the winning run for the Cougars. They fall in that nightcap 4-3 as the Gaels end up taking 2 of 3 against the Cougars for BYU, who, by the way, this is their final conference series matchup before ever in West Coast Conference play, as the Cougars will be moving into the Big 12 Conference for the 2023-24 season this coming fall. But Coleman Schmidt had 3 homers in the series. He ended up he had a great series, and we're going to talk with Greg. Your thoughts on the series, getting a series against the Cougars in the cold, brutal conditions in Provo.
It was a lot of fun to watch our guys play the game, stay to their plan, stay to their approach. That's a tough place to play when it's snowing and it's cold. Our guys had some things to figure out. Most of our California guys have never done that. They did a really nice job playing the game hard all weekend long.
Well, it was cold in Provo. That's a tough place to play. Back in our USF days, that was, I guess, the last series of 10 years ago that you lost 2 out of 3. If you win 2 or 3, you get second place outright and end up avoiding possibly the prospect avoiding Gonzaga until at least the second or third game, depending of the winner's bracket.
Yeah, I think it's a hard place for anybody to play. They do a really good job. They've got big physical players, and that altitude lets the ball travel a little bit, so they're built for it. And if you go in there and get a couple wins, then it's a good weekend.
Great weekend to start. You guys lost 2 of your first 3 games. Should have won the first game of that series against Santa Clara, and you guys will be 4-2. 4-2 is better than 3-3. But let's look at the conference now. You guys got the Portland Pilots on a roll, 6-0 in WCC play, 16-8 overall. This is probably the more improving teams we've seen in the WCC in recent years.
Oh, yeah, Portland's got a good team. They've got a lot of guys that now have been there 3 and 4 years, and they know how to hit. They control the zone, and they've got some good old pitchers that know how to throw strikes. So they're very balanced. You got to play well against those guys, and that's what we plan to do.
And then also because Portland is used to this type of weather, they know the elements. Same thing up in Portland. They get a lot of rain, just like we're getting here in the Bay Area, and they surround with a lot of trees in the environment, though, too. And if you ever visit the Pacific Northwest, either Portland or Seattle, great picturesque shots of the beautiful trees and the settings.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, they played in the weather. Now, we should get good weather this weekend. I think Friday, could be a wet field. But other than that, I think we're going to get a clean series in. And we've had a couple weeks since we've had a series that's just run smooth. We haven't had to adjust games. So I know our team's excited to get in that 3-game rhythm again.
I'm excited, though I was not there for that game on the Friday against Santa Clara. I got my first ever WCC win for West Coast Conference. I got the one against back in February, even though I was on kind of on partial vacation and special assignment doing recaps remotely. But that was very important.
Yeah, I think it's always important to mark that first one, B, and that's your first win in conference. And
as a reporter of the Gaels,
That's right. You've had many others.
Yeah, and then also looking at the West Coast Conference right now, you guys sit there tied for fifth with San Diego and beat Warrior, tied for fifth with. You look at the top four. It's Portland's a game up on Gonzaga. Many people thought this was going to be a rebuilding year for the Bulldogs. They lost a lot of pitchers from last year. They're at 5-1. They're starting to turn things around. They led 1 point, lost 10 of their first 11 games. The Broncos of Santa Clara, who just nearly 2 weeks ago took 2 out of 3 from the Gaels in Moraga, they're 13-7. LMU, who was 4-2, they're 2 games back. They're 1 game behind Gonzaga. They're in a tie for third, and they missed a golden opportunity. They should have missed a golden opportunity that they should have swept the USF Dons over the weekend. They're 4-2 at 11-11. The Toreros and the Gaels are tied for fifth. So only 1 game separating the top 2 teams from Portland, Gonzaga 1-2, and only 1 game separating the other 4 or of the other 4 of the half dozen 6 in this competitive West Coast Conference. Then you round it up. BYU's only 1 game behind both San Diego and the Gaels. Then you got the bottom feeders, USF at 1-5, Pacific and Pepperdine 3-way tie for the cellar. They right now are 1 game behind BYU for 7, and they're 2 games behind both San Diego and St. Mary's, 3 back of both Santa Clara and LMU, and they trail Gonzaga by 4, and they're 5 back behind Portland. How the conference is going to be playing out, Greg?
Well, I think you let it ride from here. You know, some of those teams that are at the top and bottom, they go play each other. So I think there's a lot of conference to be played, and it's just a matter of how you get into this middle part of the league season.
Hey, also tell me your thoughts about Coleman Schmidt. He was named he ended up getting the Bay Alarm Student Athlete of the Week for the Gaels. He had a wild game. Leads the club with 6 home runs, 17 RBIs, 290 batting average, 609 slugging percentage. What are your thoughts about his performance over the weekend?
It's just fun to watch Coleman Schmidt get better and better every week. You know, you see him develop as a player. He's always the steady person, but you just see the at-bats coming to fruition now. He's had plenty in college, and now the athleticism, to his credit, is playing on the field.
Yeah, and then also the status, unfortunately, I wasn't there in person, but I heard what happened. So for Derek and Quinto, he broke his bone in his throwing shoulder, so it looks like he's not going to be able to come back for the rest of the year. And Nathan Chung, his status, at least 2 weeks, he'll be able to come back.
Yeah, Nathan's a couple weeks away. He's going to start hitting off a tee and doing some other things to get active again. He got hit in the face by a fastball.
Woo.
But he's a tough guy. He goes to the emergency room and he kind of bounces right out of there, and he wants to play. But we'll take it slow with him. And then Derek, unfortunately, is going to miss the rest of the year.
Well, he'll be able to come back next year, right?
Yes, he has another year that he can come play.
And then, of course, for Nathan Chung, we got to order a football mask or something for him, or a cheekbone or something for him. We're going to have to give these bad memories from the time when Dickie Thon got whacked by a high-heating fastball, I think by Mike Torres, or I think Robbie Thompson got drilled by a Trevor Hoffman fastball back in '93 down the stretch drive, and he ended up not returning to the last game of the regular season. We had to wear a faceplate, something similar. I think Bill Lambier, the Detroit Pistons, one time got poked in the eye or something. He had to wear a faceplate, or Charlie Hayes one time got drilled in the face. He ended up wearing a football face mask, though. So football and baseball can come in handy in similar, different ways, though.
Yeah, definitely. Just get the protective equipment for those guys that are hurt so that you can guard the injury. I think part of it is getting back in the box and seeing a couple pitches so that you can get past the last time that you saw a pitch up and in. But Nathan's ready to go. He's getting close.
All right, Greg, go get him for this weekend.
Thank you, B. Good to see you.
That's St. Mary's head coach Greg Moore. The St. Mary's Gaels will be back in action this weekend. They'll take on the Portland Pilots for a 3-game series up in Moraga. Game 1 will be Friday afternoon at 3 p.m., and that's weather permitting, because there's still rain possibly in the forecast, so we're just not out of the woods by no means just yet. Game 1 Friday, depending, and then games 2 and 3 will be Saturday and Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. And if there's any, we'll keep a monitor on the rain of the weather. If there's a prospect of a postponement and possible doubleheader, go to smcgales.com for more information for developing news. And you can catch all 3 of the games on smcgales.com via the WCC network for this weekend, as Tim Fitzgerald and Griffith Snyder with the call in Moraga. For the latest news on Gaels athletics and so much more, go to smcgales.com. For now, I'm Brian Professor B. Davis, and this has been the SMC Gaels Week in Review preview for the week of March 23rd to 25th on the SMC TV Plus audiocast. St. Mary's Gaels Baseball is an association with the Satellite Digital Media News Network.